This is Shantero, a completely ordinary first-year high school student, and when I say ordinary, I mean so ordinary that even the background characters have more personality than him. He recently moved into an apartment far away from his family so he can focus on his studies. But one day, something very strange happens. Our boy walks out to his balcony and finds a cute angel sleeping there. Yes, an actual angel. Meanwhile, somewhere up in heaven, we see Tora, an angel who has been sent to the human world by God. Her mission? To learn more about humans. Now you'd think an angel would be wise and knowledgeable, but nope. Tora is so innocent and clueless that she doesn't even know how to greet people properly. She arrives in the human world and starts thinking to herself, I want to experience something meaningful in my life. And trust me, meeting this guy was probably not the meaningful experience she was hoping for. Now back to Shantero. He lives alone in his apartment while studying. His family sends him money for school, but our boy still works a part-time job to cover his personal expenses. Respect. But despite that, he often feels lonely, which is understandable, because the only person he talks to most of the time is probably his refrigerator. One evening, after finishing his part-time job, Shantero is walking home when he spots a cat that looks exactly like the one he had when he was a child. Back then, he couldn't keep the cat because of family circumstances, but now that he lives alone, he decides to take the cat in. Congratulations bro, you just adopted the only friend you're going to have for a while. After that, he returns to his apartment, and the moment we see his room, yeah, it's exactly what you'd expect from a bachelor living alone. Clothes everywhere, trash everywhere. The room looks like a tornado came through and decided to stay. Completely exhausted, Shantero just collapses on the bed and falls asleep without cleaning anything. Honestly, some of you watching probably live exactly like this. Don't lie. The next morning, Shantero wakes up feeling a little sick, so he prepares some hot milk before heading to work. While drinking it, he suddenly notices something strange. The balcony door is open, so he walks over to close it, and that's when he sees Tora sleeping there. And of course, because our main character has the reaction speed of a confused potato, he gets so shocked that he accidentally spills his milk all over her. Great start, genius. Tora wakes up and politely apologizes for sleeping on his balcony. Meanwhile, Shantero is completely confused, because this girl is wearing some very strange clothes. A moment later, Tora asks him if she can borrow some clothes. Now Shantero, already embarrassed enough, quickly finds some for her. When Tora finally comes out wearing his clothes, Shantero awkwardly apologizes, saying the clothes might not be very good. But Tora happily thanks him, not only for the clothes, but also for letting her stay on his balcony. The two of them then introduce themselves. Tora praises Shantero and tells him that he's very kind. She even says she'd like to thank his family someday. Hearing this, Shantero gets embarrassed and explains that he actually lives alone. Tora becomes shocked. She looks at the big building and asks, how can someone live alone in such a huge place? Shantero laughs and explains that the building is full of tenants. His apartment is just one tiny part of it. After chatting for a while, Shantero suddenly realizes something important. He's late for work, so he tells Tora that she should change her clothes and get ready to leave. But instead of doing that, Tora starts cleaning his messy room. Honestly, this is the moment every anime fan watching is thinking the same thing. Bro, if an angel starts cleaning your room, just marry her already. While cleaning, Tora suddenly notices two cats fighting outside the window. Being the kind angel she is, she rushes outside to stop them. But instead, the cats scratch her hands. Because apparently even cats are like, mind your own business, angel. When Shantero sees this, he helps bandage her finger. And while doing so, he thinks to himself, this girl is really strange. No kidding, Sherlock. Curious, Shantero finally asks her directly, did you run away from home? And that's when Tora calmly reveals the truth. She says she is an angel sent by God to study humans. Now if someone told you that, you'd probably react the same way Shantero does. He immediately dismisses it as complete nonsense. Then Tora suddenly asks him something shocking. Can I stay here for a few days? Hearing this, Shantero panics. He quickly hands her some clothes and tells her to change immediately. And then he makes it very clear. There is no way he's letting a random girl stay in his apartment. Soon after, Shantero locks his apartment and heads to work. Before leaving, he tells Tora to go back to her home as well. Later that day, after finishing his shift, Shantero walks home feeling really sick. And the whole time, one thought keeps repeating in his head. I hope Tora went back home, I really hope so. But knowing how anime works, yeah, you already know she definitely didn't leave. But when Shantero finally reaches home, he sees something that immediately makes his brain restart. Tora is walking down the street with a random man, and our boy instantly panics. Shantero rushes toward them like a worried parent and asks, who is this guy, and where are you going? Tora innocently smiles and says, this kind man said he will take me to a hotel. And the moment Shantero hears that, his soul almost leaves his body. Without wasting a second, he grabs Tora's hand, drags her away from the man, and pulls her back home. Now he's actually angry. For the first time in his life, this NPC main character finally shows some emotions. He scolds her and says, you can't just trust random people like that. You don't even know what kind of person he might be. Honestly, she was 5 minutes away from becoming a true crime documentary. But right after saying all that, Shantero suddenly collapses. Yep, our hero just rage quit life because of his illness. A little later, when he finally wakes up, he sees Tora sitting beside him and taking care of him. She looks worried and gently helps him recover. Seeing how kind she is, Shantero starts thinking to himself, this girl is really adorable, but also incredibly naive. Basically, she trusts people way too easily. Later, Tora even prepares food for him, and not only that, she lovingly feeds him. At this point half the viewers are thinking, bro, where do we find an angel like this? Touched by her kindness, Shantero finally sighs and says, if you really don't have anywhere to stay, you can live here. The moment Tora hears this, she becomes extremely happy and immediately hugs him tightly. Meanwhile Shantero is just standing there thinking, this girl might be a little crazy, but she has a really kind heart. Curious about something, Shantero suddenly asks her, wait, when I fainted outside, wasn't it difficult for you to bring me home? Tora casually replies, not really, I just used my wings and carried you here. Now obviously Shantero doesn't believe a single word of that, because in his mind, angels don't exist, right? Well, to prove it, Tora suddenly reveals her real angel form, her wings appear, and Shantero finally sees the truth. And what does our brave protagonist do after seeing an actual angel? He faints again. Congratulations bro, you fainted twice in one episode. The next morning, Shantero wakes up and convinces himself that everything yesterday must have been a dream, because obviously, angels are not real, right? But then he turns his head, and sees Tora sleeping right next to him in the bed. Now his brain completely crashes. He immediately panics and shouts, what are you doing in my bed? Tora calmly replies, well, there was only one bed, so I slept here too. Simple logic. Meanwhile Shantero is blushing like he just unlocked a romantic anime scene he wasn't ready for. Later that day, Shantero takes Tora to the supermarket so she can buy some clothes and daily essentials. But for Tora, this place is basically a magical wonderland. She gets excited seeing all the different things in the store, and because she gets too excited, her wings suddenly pop out. Yeah, right in public. Shantero immediately panics again and quickly pulls her into a changing room. Then he whispers, you can't just show your wings in public. Tora apologizes and explains that her wings appear whenever she can't control her emotions, which means if she gets excited again, they might accidentally start a religious miracle in the supermarket. After returning home, Shantero takes out some ready-made food to eat, but Tora looks at it and says they should cook something fresh instead. So guess what happens? Yep, they go back to the supermarket again. During this second trip, Tora notices a beautiful dress she really likes, but she doesn't buy it, probably because she doesn't want to spend Shantero's money. However, something strange starts happening. People around them begin gathering. Why? Because Tora looks so beautiful and angelic that everyone keeps staring at her. Honestly, she looks so good that even the background NPCs are like, who is this girl? To avoid attracting even more attention, Shantero quickly takes her to buy some new outfits. While Tora is trying on clothes, the shopkeeper casually tells Shantero, your girlfriend is really cute. The moment Shantero hears that, he almost chokes, and immediately says, she's not my girlfriend. Meanwhile inside the changing room, Tora is thinking about how kind Shantero has been to her, so she decides she wants to do something nice for him. She walks out of the changing room, goes straight to Shantero, and loudly declares, I will do my best to give you all the happiness you deserve. And of course, everyone around them completely misunderstands the situation. The crowd instantly assumes that this is a romantic confession. Now people are staring, whispering, some are even smiling, and Shantero is standing there wishing the ground would just open and swallow him. Completely embarrassed, he quickly grabs Tora and rushes home. Later, while unpacking the groceries, Tora suddenly notices something surprising. The same dress she liked earlier. Confused, she looks at Shantero, and Shantero casually says, you liked that dress, didn't you? You should have told me, but I bought it for you anyway. Hearing this makes Tora extremely happy, and honestly, our boy just scored some serious main character points. That night, the two of them once again end up sleeping in the same bed, but this time, Shantero is extremely uncomfortable, because sharing a bed with a cute angel is apparently too much for his poor heart to handle. So he starts thinking, I seriously need to buy another bed, before this situation turns into a full romance anime. That night, Shantero lies in bed thinking, I seriously need to buy another bed, otherwise I'll never be able to sleep. Honestly bro, the real problem isn't the bed. The real problem is that you're sharing a room with a literal angel. The next morning, Tora wakes up early, and before Shantero even opens his eyes, she has already cooked breakfast and cleaned the entire house. Meanwhile our boy is still waking up like a broken Windows computer. When Shantero sees how much effort Tora puts into taking care of the house, he actually feels really happy. But there's still one problem. Living in the same room with a girl is making him extremely nervous, and because of that, awkward situations keep happening. And trust me, they get worse. One day, while Tora is taking a shower in the bathroom, Shantero tries to distract himself by focusing on his studies. He tells himself, focus on studying, don't think about anything else. But his brain is like, yeah, about that, because no matter how hard he tries, his mind keeps drifting back to Tora. Eventually he finally manages to concentrate on his studies, but then he goes to the bathroom afterward, and accidentally sees Tora without clothes. Yep, our boy just unlocked the most dangerous anime accident. Shantero instantly panics and runs away like he just saw a ghost. That night he can't sleep again. He spends the entire night awake, just staring at the ceiling and replaying the moment in his head. At this point bro hasn't slept properly for 2 nights straight. The next morning, Shantero looks completely exhausted. dark circles under his eyes, energy level, 0. While taking a shower, something unbelievable happens again. Yes, he accidentally sees Tora again. At this point the universe itself is trolling him. Now Shantero is even more flustered and frustrated. His brain is officially overheating. Later that day, Tora prepares another delicious meal for him. And as usual, Shantero enjoys the food like a starving man. While eating, Shantero tells her, "My school starts again today, so I'll be going there." When Tora hears this, she immediately says she wants to go with him. But Shantero quickly refuses, because bringing an angel to school is probably not the best idea. So he tells her to stay home and heads off to school. On the way, he runs into his friend Suchi. And of course, Suchi immediately starts teasing him, because that's what anime friends do. A moment later, Shantero's female friend Tsumi arrives. She immediately scolds Suchi for bothering him. But then both of them notice something strange. Shantero has huge dark circles under his eyes. They ask if he hasn't been sleeping well, but Shantero quickly makes up an excuse. He says he's just been busy with his part-time job. Tsumi becomes worried about him. Meanwhile, back at the apartment, Tora has already finished all the housework. Now she has nothing to do, and she starts feeling bored. Then she suddenly wonders, I wonder if Shantero is hungry at school. Meanwhile at school during lunch break, Shantero's friends are talking about how difficult it must be for him to live alone, doing everything by himself. Cooking, cleaning, working part-time, even when he's tired. Hearing this makes Tsumi feel even more concerned. She actually prepared a homemade lunch for Shantero, but she's too shy to give it to him. Mostly because Suchi keeps teasing her non-stop. The truth is, Tsumi secretly likes Shantero, but she's way too shy to tell him. Classic anime problem. But suddenly something unbelievable happens. Shantero looks outside the classroom window, and sees Tora flying in the sky, and she's carrying his lunch. Yep, she literally flew to his school. At that moment Shantero's heart almost stops. He quickly distracts his friends and rushes outside. Then he drags Tora up to the rooftop. Some students actually saw her flying, but they quickly convince themselves it must have been their imagination, because obviously, people don't fly in real life, right? Up on the rooftop, Shantero immediately scolds Tora. Why did you use your wings? Didn't I tell you not to do that? Tora feels guilty and apologizes. Then she sadly turns around and starts heading home. Seeing this makes Shantero realize he was a little too harsh. So he sighs and softens his voice. Look, I didn't mean to be angry. But if people see you flying, things will become complicated. You need to understand that. Tora nods quietly. She understands that he's only worried about her. Later, Shantero happily eats the lunch she brought for him. Meanwhile, Tsumi is walking around school searching for Shantero. While doing that, she remembers something from the past. When she was a child, she once got lost, and Shantero was the one who helped her find her way home. Ever since that day, she started liking him. But she's always been afraid that another girl might take him away. And unfortunately for her, that fear might already be coming true. Because later, Tsumi sees Shantero walking home with Tora. The moment she sees them together, she freezes. Her mind starts racing. Who is this girl? And how did she suddenly appear in Shantero's life? But things become even more shocking later, because Tsumi eventually sees Tora in her angel form, and at that moment, her brain completely stops working. Meanwhile, after school, Shantero returns home, and Tora happily welcomes him back like an excited puppy, and Shantero notices that she has once again taken care of everything in the house. Honestly, at this point our boy is basically living the dream life. The moment Shantero hears that, he suddenly gets nervous and says, "Next time, please don't wash my clothes. You can do everything else, but leave that one to me." Yeah, our boy suddenly remembered that some things should never be seen by another human being. Meanwhile, somewhere else, Tsumi is taking a shower and thinking about what she saw earlier. Her mind keeps replaying the same question. How did that girl fly? Who exactly is she? And what is her connection with Shantero? The more she thinks about it, the more confused she becomes. She even wonders if she should just ask Shantero directly. But for now, she keeps the questions to herself. Later that evening, Shantero prepares to leave for his part-time job. Before leaving, he tells Tora to rest at home, and Tora happily agrees. The next morning, when Shantero gets ready to go to school, Tora hands him a homemade lunch. Shantero is actually touched by her effort, so he accepts it and heads to school. During lunch break, Tsumi immediately notices the lunchbox, and she quickly realizes something important. That mysterious girl from yesterday has now become a part of Shantero's daily life. Of course, Shantero's friend Suchi notices it too, and immediately starts teasing him. He asks, "So, who made this lunch for you?" Shantero panics and quickly makes up another awkward excuse. Honestly bro, at this point you're lying so much that even the lies are getting tired. After school, while walking home, Shantero starts thinking to himself, how long can I keep making excuses like this? And right at that moment, he runs into a strange old lady. She claims she can see the future. Looking at him seriously, she says, "Soon, many girls will bring trouble into your life." Shantero immediately thinks she's just a scammer and quickly walks away. And to make it even funnier, he leaves without paying her. Honestly, the old lady probably just looked at him and thought, yep, this guy is about to enter a full harem anime. Later at his part-time job, Shantero's manager introduces him to a new worker. While changing clothes in the locker room, Shantero accidentally sees the new worker undressing. And to his complete shock, The new worker is a girl. Before he can even react, slap. The girl hits him so hard that his soul almost disconnects from his body. A little later, the girl, whose name is Nova, comes back with an ice pack for his face and apologizes for hitting him. Soon after, their manager lets both of them leave work early, and he even gives them a cake. Now Shantero has absolutely no desire to spend more time with Nova, so he immediately says, "You can take the whole cake." The moment Nova hears that, her face lights up with happiness. But suddenly something strange happens. The temperature in the room drops dramatically, the air becomes cold, and everything around them starts turning icy. And that's when the truth is revealed. Nova is actually an ice queen, and whenever she loses control of her emotions, everything around her freezes. Realizing what's happening, Shantero quickly calms her down and takes her outside before anyone notices her powers. Meanwhile, back at home, Tora starts getting worried. Shantero hasn't returned yet, and she begins wondering if something happened to him. At the same time, Tsumi is also feeling restless, so she decides to go for a walk to clear her mind. Outside, Shantero and Nova start talking. Nova nervously says, "You probably won't believe this, but I'm part of the snow spirits." Surprisingly, Shantero calmly replies, "I believe you." Now Nova is shocked, because normally no one believes her. So she finally opens up about her past. She explains that her family belongs to the snow spirit race, and because of that, she inherited the power to control ice. But there's a problem. Whenever she loses control of her emotions, everything around her turns to ice. Because of this, she has never been able to make real friends. Hearing her story, Shantero feels sorry for her, so he smiles and says, "Then I'll be your friend." For Nova, those words mean everything. She becomes emotional, finally feeling understood for the first time. But just when the moment is getting emotional, two more people suddenly appear, Tora, and right behind her, Tsumi. The moment they arrive, all three girls immediately start questioning Shantero. Who is she? What's going on? Why are you here? Poor Shantero is now standing there like a criminal caught in the middle of an investigation. To explain everything, Tora finally reveals her true identity. She tells Tsumi that she is an angel. After that, Nova also reveals that she is a snow spirit. Now Tsumi is just standing there trying to process everything. Angels, snow spirits, and somehow all of them are connected to this completely average guy. But surprisingly, Tsumi promises that she will keep their secret safe. However, the moment she hears that Tora has been living with Shantero, her expression changes instantly, and Tsumi becomes furious, because in her mind, the guy she secretly likes is now living with another girl, and things are about to get very complicated. Suddenly, Nova starts getting anxious again, and when Nova gets anxious, the temperature around them starts dropping fast, the air becomes cold, and ice slowly begins forming around them. Yep, our girl is basically a walking freezer. Seeing this, Shantero quickly calms her down again before the entire street turns into the North Pole. Meanwhile, Tsumi finally speaks up and says, "Nova is actually in our class, but she never talks to anyone." Then she looks at Shantero suspiciously and asks, "So what exactly is going on between you two?" Shantero quickly replies, "Nothing strange. Nova just works with me." Hearing that only makes Tsumi even more annoyed, but somehow she manages to control her emotions, because right now there are already two supernatural girls standing here. Adding jealousy to the mix might accidentally start a natural disaster. After talking for a while, the tension slowly fades, and surprisingly, the three girls actually start getting along. They even become friends. Then Tora reveals something interesting. She says she can control her wings and even change their size whenever she wants. Everyone is shocked, because apparently this angel has customizable wings like a video game character. Later, Shantero and Tora return home together. Tora decides to cook something delicious for him, and while they are eating, Tora suddenly apologizes. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have revealed my identity in front of everyone." Shantero calmly replies, "I'm not angry. I'm just worried about you." Then he gently warns her, "Next time, be more careful. Don't show your angel form in front of just anyone." Tora nods and promises she'll be careful. The next day at school, Tsumi suddenly asks Shantero a very dangerous question. "So tell me, who are you dating? Tora or Nova?" The moment Shantero hears that, he almost chokes on air. He quickly panics and says, "What are you talking about? I'm not dating anyone. I've only known them for a few days." Hearing this makes Tsumi secretly very happy, but right at that moment, their friend Suchi suddenly appears, and of course, he immediately makes the situation worse. He asks, "Hey Shantero, who is this Tora girl? Is she your girlfriend?" Before Shantero can even open his mouth, Tsumi quickly steps in and says, "No, she's just a distant relative who's staying with him for a while." Shantero looks at her like she just saved his entire life. He quietly thanks her for the help. Later that day, Nova is approached by two boys from school. They ask her if she wants to hang out with them, but the moment Nova sees Shantero nearby, she immediately runs over to him and says, "Let's go eat something after school." Shantero reminds her that he has to go to his part-time job, but Nova confidently replies, "Don't worry, it won't take long. We'll just eat quickly and then go to work." And somehow, Shantero ends up agreeing. Meanwhile at home, Tora is still worrying about him. She knows he has to handle school and a job at the same time, and she can't stop thinking about whether he's tired or hungry. At the workplace, Shantero is working very very hard as usual, and his dedication even impresses the manager. The manager suddenly asks him, "So, are you dating Nova?" Shantero instantly denies it and runs away to take a customer's order, but when he reaches the table, he freezes, because the customers sitting there are Tora and Tsumi. Yep, his peaceful work shift has officially been destroyed. Tsumi explains the situation. "I ran into Tora earlier. She was looking for your workplace, so I brought her here." Tora then says softly, "I was worried about you, so I came to see you." Shantero sighs deeply. "Guys, you really shouldn't have come here. Just wait here. I'll bring you something to drink." Meanwhile, Nova notices Tora and Tsumi, and she quickly runs to Shantero saying, "Manager, are you seeing this?" The manager then calls Shantero aside and warns him, "You shouldn't mix your personal life with your job." Hearing this makes Nova suddenly angry. She storms up to Shantero and says, "Don't talk to me anymore," and then she walks away dramatically. Poor Shantero is left standing there like, "What did I even do?" Meanwhile, Tora and Tsumi are trying to decide what to order. Suddenly Tsumi leaves to go to the restroom, leaving Tora alone at the table. A few minutes later, Shantero steps outside the restaurant, and he sees something unbelievable. Tora is helping the customers like a part-time worker. Shantero immediately panics. He grabs her hand, pulls her outside, and says, "Please stop worrying about me like this. Once I finish work, I'll come home. But if you keep coming here like this, it'll only make things harder for me." Hearing this makes Tora feel sad. She lowers her head and apologizes. "I'm sorry, I won't come again or bother you like this." Seeing her reaction, Shantero quickly feels guilty. So he immediately says, No, that's not what I meant. Ever since you came into my life, things have actually become better. You've helped me a lot. So don't say things like that." Hearing Shantero say that makes Tora extremely happy. Meanwhile, their manager is watching this whole scene from a distance, and he sighs in relief like, "Good, no workplace drama today." But right after that, Nova walks up to the manager and says seriously, "From now on, I won't talk to Shantero while we're working." Yep, she just created her own workplace rule. Later, we see Shantero and Tora sitting together and eating. While eating, Shantero suddenly asks her something out of curiosity. "So, do you also cook in heaven?" Tora calmly replies, "No, we don't really cook there. Everything grows on trees and is ready to eat." Hearing that makes Shantero pause. Imagine living in a place where food literally grows ready-made on trees. Meanwhile here on Earth, people can barely cook instant noodles correctly. Some of you watching probably burn water. Don't lie. Meanwhile, Tsumi is deep in thought. She keeps thinking about Shantero. Now that two supernatural girls have entered his life, she suddenly feels insignificant. She worries to herself, what if Shantero falls in love with one of them? Then what will happen to me? Right then, Tsumi's mom walks in and gives her a ticket to a donut shop. The ticket will expire in a few days. Her mom tells her she should invite a friend. And immediately, Tsumi thinks of Shantero. The next day at school, she tries many times to ask him, but every time she gets close, her nervousness stops her. Classic anime shyness. But somehow, the ticket accidentally ends up with Tsuchi, and he gets excited about going. However, other students remind him that he has club duties that day. So he turns to Shantero and says, "Why don't you take Tsumi instead?" And Tsumi is secretly very happy. After school, Shantero and Tsumi go to the library together. They read books for a while, but soon, Shantero falls asleep, because remember, this poor guy barely sleeps these days. Seeing him sleeping peacefully beside her makes Tsumi smile, so she quietly lets him sleep. Hours later, Shantero wakes up, only to see that it's raining very heavily outside, which ruins their plan to visit the donut shop. But Tsumi refuses to give up. She grabs an umbrella and decides to go anyway. On the way, she notices a small child standing in the rain without an umbrella. So Tsumi gives her umbrella to the child. Seeing this makes Shantero smile. Then he offers to share his umbrella with her, and Tsumi finds this moment incredibly sweet. Together, they finally visit the donut shop and enjoy their time there. Meanwhile, our viewers are watching this like, wait, is this becoming a romance anime now? The next day at school, Nova approaches Shantero again, and she asks, let's hang out after school. After classes end, the two of them walk around and chat. They even stop to buy ice cream. This time, Nova pays for it. Seeing that, Shantero says, next time, I'll treat you instead. Nova clearly enjoys spending time with him. But when Shantero finally returns home later that day, he walks into the apartment and sees something shocking. Tora is standing there with another girl who is changing clothes. And before Shantero can react, slap, the girl immediately hits him, because apparently this anime has a slap the main character policy. The girl's name is Sina. After calming down, she introduces herself and apologizes. Sina explains that she was sent from heaven to check whether Tora is properly studying the human world. But then Sina suddenly says something harsh. You shouldn't be living with this boy. Come with me instead. You have no idea what boys like him can do. And honestly, this guy looks useless. Ouch. Shantero just got destroyed by an angel, but Tora immediately defends him. She says, you're wrong. Shantero is a really good person. Hearing that makes Shantero blush like a tomato. Sina, however, becomes even more angry and storms off. So Shantero and Tora run after her. Eventually, Tora catches up to Sina and explains, I'm happy here. I learn something new about the human world every day, so I don't need to return to heaven right now. Please don't worry about me. Hearing this makes Sina start crying, and Tora hugs her. Shantero watches the emotional moment quietly, but suddenly something strange happens. Sina's locket begins glowing, which means she only has 2 minutes left before she must return to heaven. Before leaving, Sina asks one last time, "Will you come with me?" But Tora gently refuses. So before disappearing, Sina turns to Shantero and says, "Take good care of Tora," and then she vanishes. After she leaves, Shantero turns to Tora and says, "You came here to study the human world, right? So I'll help you with that." He then makes a small plan. "Every evening, we'll go for walks and talk. That way you can understand human life better. And don't stay locked inside my apartment all the time." Hearing this makes Tora extremely happy, and she agrees. And with that wholesome moment, this part of the story finally comes to an end. But knowing this anime, Shantero's peaceful life is definitely not staying peaceful for long. Because with an angel, an ice queen, and a jealous childhood friend around, our boy is about to enter maximum chaos mode.